So thanks for coming, everybody. How's everybody doing? How's your year shaping up? Good? Cruising? It's real estate. So now we head into the fourth quarter. This is, like, I was talking with Gaetano, and he was saying, man, we're super busy. And I said, the key to being super busy is in the summertime, you have to not be busy, you have to be prospecting. You know, there's a big difference being busy in the summertime. You're busy in the summertime because how hard you worked in the wintertime because you were so freaked out you were going to be broke that you're busy in the summertime. I love how we all blame it on, oh, it's the inventory, and oh, everyone wants to buy a house because it's sunny outside. There's some truth to that. But at the end of the day, the truth is you're working really, really hard in the first quarter. And then you get to the fourth quarter and you're like, man, I'm getting slow because of the holidays. Well, no, really what it was is in the third quarter, you were focusing so much in working in your business that you weren't prospecting, which is working on increasing your business. So does everyone want to learn something new today? Cool, you're not going to learn anything new today. At the end of this time, I'm going to tell you something you all already knew. I'm going to pound it into your head over and over again until you can at least walk out with one or two things that can make you guys more money. Hope you guys close another escrow. A lot of the stuff that we talk about and what I do, it's not new, but it requires a lot of reiteration. And that's in my business. I mean, I have 30 people in my sales force across the California and the country. And I'll tell you, like, sometimes I have to repeat the same things. Like, I had to send an email out telling my sales staff to be kind to the operations staff. They're like, man, what happened? I was like, what do you think happens? It's the same thing that always happens. Sales staff gets all pissed off. They're all, fearful because they think they're going to lose something, i.e. commissions, clients, everything else, and they take it out on the closest person available, i.e. the person helping them, right? Like, telling everyone to be kind to one another, you shouldn't have to repeat that, right? Yet I have to do it consistently throughout the year. So when dealing with sales folks, then making sure that I'm reiterating what we need to do. So going into the fourth quarter, it's a time to do a little bit of reflection. It's time for business planning, which is next month. I'll tell you, my business planning is done by November 1st of every year. So I have offsite meetings. Literally, I lock my leadership, my COO, my sales manager, team captain. We lock ourselves in a room for about 7 hours. And we go through all of the past goals, and then we go through what we want to do, what worked, what didn't work, what we're going to change, all that fun stuff. Then I do the same thing with my team. Then I come back and have it all done November 1st. Knowing that goal setting is one of the biggest classes that I have filled, and I do it in January, irks me every single time. So business planning, we're going to do some business planning in November so that hopefully that goal setting class in January is smaller. Because goal setting's too late in January. I always joke with the folks when we get there. So that's going to be where we're going. But in order for us to start business planning, we have to, I think a lot of times we replace our fourth quarter with planning on the business. We either succumb to the fact that the year is over and it is what it is, and it was really great and we broke records and we hit our goals, so we're done and we let our foot off the gas, or we go, it sucked, and I've just come to terms with it and I let my foot off the gas. One of the two things that I see most salespeople do in all types of sales. So what we want to focus on is what is it that you need to consistently do? And that is keeping your foot on the gas all the way to Christmas Eve. It is just nonstop. Now, going to car industry Christmas parties does not constitute as work. We're all clear on that, right? Like, it cracks me up, and we'll go to these things, and no, nothing against car. I mean, it's just like all the different industry parties. The reason that we do ours so early is because there are so many that get clouded and really just kind of take our eye off the ball when we want to focus in December on doing business. Yes, there are less people that want to buy houses, which means we need to do more activity. That's it. So if I had to call 100 people when there are lots of houses, then when there are less houses, I call 200 people for the same results. It is what it is. It's really not, there's no excuses or no throw my hands in the air. Still, and I use this analogy all the time, the best way to exit a building on fire is not throwing your hands in the air running in circles. You realize that. It's taking action, getting a plan, and getting out of the building. So we're going to talk some of that today. So looking back, remove the distractions. Man, the distractions are the biggest thief to your wallet. And there's so many distractions. These little boxes that we think save us time are the biggest distractions there are. In fact, if you have a text bing that makes that noise, turn it off when you're prospecting. It's a known fact that when it bings, it puts your brain into a state of anxiety instantly. Do you guys like anxiety? Are you sure? No one likes anxiety. So I suffered from anxiety for a while until I got through the reasons of anxiety, and then I removed things that caused anxiety. One of these is the ding on the phone. Now, it doesn't mean I don't look down at my phone. In fact, now you can actually log in and it tells you how many times you picked up the phone and looked at it. Have you guys done that yet? Oh, yes, it's fantastic. So I've done that. I do that with my teenage daughter. So when I started finding out these things, and there are so many things that are harmful, even though they're helpful, that I would tell you, go in your settings, look at your login time. It tells you how much you pick up your phone average per hour. And that's how many times you're distracted. If you're looking, literally, sometimes I've seen this 30, 40 times in an hour you're picking up the phone. Wow. I'm like I'm a professional phone picker-upper. Like I am literally, like, I don't even know how I'm making money because no one pays me to do this, but yet I'm doing that all the time. So removing distractions, working your database. Like working your database. That doesn't mean like I have a database. Come on. Like we have to talk about working the database, and we'll talk about that. Having regular appointments and working your top 25 list or making one. So these are all things that I've spoke about before, but only a handful, typically 1%, 2% are actually going to do all of them. Maybe 10% are going to do some of them. 90% won't do them at all. It's like you get a shot in the arm, it feels really great. You guys know you go to those seminars, you're like, oh my gosh, I could walk on coals on my base. So you can go home and you're like, I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing for 20 years. That's what we want to avoid. That's what the fourth quarter push is about. Getting yourself out of your comfort zone and doing things that you didn't before is how you get growth. Like if you didn't go to the gym and you want to lose weight and you go to the gym, you lose weight. Like you would think that there are some things that you can do that are easy in business for that. Well, if you weren't prospecting on a consistent basis and you weren't closing the amount of deals that you wanted to, then we'll start prospecting and you'll start closing more transactions. You see how my mind works? My wife will tell you I'm a very simple-minded person, and she's right. I'm not all that smart. I need things to be very simple. Coffee, tea, water, pick one, right? So a lot of the things that I teach and that I'm going to make sure that I hit over the head with you guys are going to be these things. So create your fourth quarter goals. Reward yourself for reaching your production. So we allow in the mortgage business, we live month to month. So next year will be 25 years in the business. That is 25 month ends. 25 years worth of month ends times 12 is, at every month ends anxiety. So you know how much time we have to celebrate? 24 hours, that's all we get. We're like, winners! And then the next day you're like, losers, start at zero again. And everything happens all over again. But we do that annually a lot in our business. In the mortgage business, we really focus on month to month to month to month. And I think if we do that as a pass or fail, it's going to create a lot more for you when you look at it more often as to the goals. You guys need to be joining chamber meetings, builder events, planting a lot of seeds and setting weekly goals, finding a price point that works for your niche. Now, people go, man, I want to be coastal. I want to sell $20 million homes. Okay, cool. I don't know many realtors that wouldn't like that, but maybe that's not your niche. You know, you have to really decide when you're going into the year, well, what's your niche? What is really your niche? Like being honest with yourself. Are you a wealth advising millionaire that talks to millionaires, or are you a blue collar millionaire, right? Or are you just blue collar? Nothing's wrong with any of them, but you have to figure out who it is that you are. For me, I'm an educator. So I like to educate people on how to save more, make more, give more away. That's what I do. And in doing that and turning back, then I get it back in the form of transactions and clients and all of that fun stuff. But you see, that's what I focus on. I know my niche. I'm not the niche of, like, I don't sit up here and pick one loan product and go, hey, I just do reverse mortgages. I'm going to teach you guys about reverse mortgages, and that's all I'm going to talk about. That's somebody else's niche. So you as realtors have to feel like, well, what's my niche? And if you're like, I don't know, my niche is to sell houses, Well, that's important. It's a good thing we know that. But we need to narrow it down more, because then you're the, what is that saying? The master of none, jack of all trades, masters of none. And I think there's a lot of that. You have 38,000 realtors in Orange County, most of which probably one transaction a year or whatever, but I think only 4,500 actually pay for the lockbox. 2-story. So talk about a watered down industry. And you guys have to, and an identity crisis, right? And I think an identity is, okay, well, I picked this farm. Okay, well, that's a great start. Like, okay, this is what I do. And then consistent over and over and over again. The people that crush their farms in their areas are just people of massive action with consistent action. And then they get massive results with consistent results. That's it. Nothing crazier than that. So we want to make sure that you guys have a lot of seeds. So my weekly goal and the core's weekly goal, 15 face-to-faces, 5 breaking breads, and 60 great conversations. Pretty reasonable. In order to have 60 great conversations, I know I need to have a minimum of 30 outbound phone calls per day. So you see how that, like, literally when someone broke that down, I'm like, I think I can do that. And then I was like, okay, I like these results, but I want twice as much results. What do I do? And my good friend and mentor is like, hold on, you ready? Wait for it. He's like, we're going to meet with 30 people a week, and we're going to break bread with 10 people and make 120 conversations. And so I did. And so what happened to the results? Twice as many results. But you have to start with the accountability on a weekly basis. So I was distracted the better part of the past 3 weeks. I just had a bunch of stuff working in my business planning, stuff like that. And I look at the prospecting activities because I track those every day. How many people, all of that fun stuff. We went on some trips, some long weekends, stuff like that. So I can always go back if leads are down and look back at my activity logs. And what do you think I saw as leads went down the weeks prior? Lack of activity. So it's not like a big surprise, but I'm true to myself. I know when I'm not doing the activities that sooner or later I'm going to pay for that, because we're in a business of the 90-day delay. We know what we do today isn't going to affect us for 90 more days. And that goes back to the reason we're busy in the summer is more because of your fear of being broke in the winter than it is more houses. Low rates help, more houses help, but nothing's going to ever replace you picking up a telephone and making stuff happen. Agreed? Like, you can have low rates and you can have like a ton of properties. It could be the best market ever. And if you're just sitting on your ass, it's going to still be really, really slow. So that's the big motivation as we get into the fourth quarter. Database. So who should be in it? Who should be in your database? Everybody, okay? Past clients, most important. So I didn't start getting this until about 8 or 9 years ago in coaching, but I've been doing it for 25. You can imagine the horror on my face when I realized what I had done prior to the 9, which is more or less nothing. And then all of those lost contacts and relationships. And you can salvage some of them, but you can't salvage all of them. And you're not going to convert them as often, especially when I know most of them move every 5 years, or know somebody that has, or will, or has to. So making sure that we're organizing them. Does everyone have a CRM, a contact management system? Does anyone not have one? Okay. Lydia, we're getting your mom a CRM. So here's what I'll tell you. And it's been the bane of my existence for a long time as the CRMs. Everyone's looking for the silver shiny bullet. That is the thing that they press a button and then it spits out cash. Like, man, the closest thing to that is the ATM machine, in which case you still realize you have to do things to fill it with. So making sure that you start organizing your contacts. If you haven't, then you need to start now. Like, literally go back, because each year you're going to be busy and forget and wish you did, and you can have reasons or results and you can't have both. One of my favorite sayings ever, because it's the most truth. And it drives my wife crazy, my kids crazy, it drives everyone crazy. I'm like, well, you can have those reasons or you can have the results. I think we know the answer here, don't we? And then I get yelled at and in trouble and end up having to take the garbage out or something. But it's a fact. So stop that. I've worked off Excel spreadsheets for way too long. Very effectively. Ran a really successful business off of that, but I realized the madness in that. And I realized how much it's like catching leads with your fingers open, like trying to catch water like this versus trying to catch it cupped. And so we need to make sure that that's one of the things that we do. In the database, you have your current clients, your past buyers and sellers, agents as well, making sure that personal friends are in there, business partners, which would be CPAs, divorce attorneys, and builders, and they're all segmented into the different lists. Because how I talk to a past client isn't how I'm going to speak to a referring partner, who is not the same I'm going to talk to a personal friend. They're all going to have different messages. So if I have one message and I'm sending out a video, I may do it 5 different ways, talking to 5 different people about that message. So in order to have that conversation, you need to make sure, like when I'm calling those folks or sending videos, I can press a button and I can send a video to current clients. I can send a video to past clients. I can do that, or I can get in and do phone burner or a dialer and press a button, immediately start talking to them all the same. And then I switch my hat and then I can go ahead and start talking to the next group accordingly. But it's very tactical, and I'm saying the same message, but I think we try and say the same thing to everyone, and that doesn't work. Social media doesn't work. You have to adjust it slightly to do so, and to do so, you need to make sure that you're extremely organized. You should have no more than 400 people in your database. Now, you can have different farming databases. So take the farming database separate. This is just your database. Is it possible to be in relationship with 400 people? It's not. I mean, I looked and, my goal is obviously get leads and relationships, and we had 238 people as of last month, real estate agents refer us this year. Now, some people are like, that's amazing. I'm like, that is not cool. I'm super grateful, but I'm like, there's no physical way for me to be in relationship with that many people. And I want to be in relationship, and I want to provide a great experience and all of those things that come with it. But is that a good problem to have? Yes. Because then from there, I can go ahead and decide, well, who do I want to work with? What does my business look like, and scale down? But I think too many people start doing that first. Well, I don't want to do this. I don't want to. I would work with anyone that could fog a mirror that happened to want to buy or sell real estate when I was starting out. I didn't even start getting picky at all because I just wanted to help everyone that I possibly could. I'm a helper, I'm a fixer. It's what I do. And again, drives my wife crazy because I want to fix all problems. Who knew that sometimes women just want you to listen to the problems? They don't want you to fix every single problem. I'm like, wow, babe, I'm so sorry. I'm still trying to figure that out. So being a fixer, that's what I want to do. But I'm telling you guys, we need to be in relationship because that's where it comes from. That's where the magic really, really happens. That's how I started my business, was relationship. Tina is one of the best at relationships that I possibly know in the business. Deborah is amazing at relationship. If you look at people that have large, really great businesses, they're people that have really great relationships with a lot of people. Not too many people, but a lot of people, and they're real relationships. So making sure we know who they are. These are people that know you and trust you. So your current clients know you and trust you. Your past clients know you and trust you. Your hairdressers, your tattoo artists. I've said all of that before, right? You have your VIPs, your family, your friends, most of your family, not all your family, and some of your friends, right? So making sure, though, those people, now you assume that they're going to want to use you. But I already told you there are 38,000 real estate agents in Orange County. Odds are they're going to use whoever's in front of them all the time because they're going to build that trust. They're going to build the trust because they're like, I keep selling stuff in your neighborhood. I keep selling stuff in your neighborhood. Breaking records, just sold, just listed, just sold. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Until they're like, we need to sell our house. So who do they call? Right? Now, the only person you can't really beat is the one with that relationship. Right? Like there's nothing worse when we're like, well, I'm going to use my Uncle Bob. He just got his real estate license. And he said he could get $4 billion for my condo in Rancho. So I'm going to go with him. Now, what did he do? He just out-relationshiped you. That's all he really did. He had no experience. He wasn't a better realtor. He just, dug himself a hole. But you will lose because of relationship. So what should we invest in? If you're really great at what you're doing, you know how to sell real estate, and you can do relationship at the same time, lights out. That's what the killer is. When I've lost relationships, or with people that I worked with, it's because I wasn't in a deep enough relationship with them. So making sure we know who that is and that we have a database and what we're going to do with them. First name, last name, address, all that fun stuff, good phone numbers, email address, where they work, their birthdays and anniversaries they bought or sold a home. People like their birthdays. So a lot of times we'll send out little birthday boxes, right? They're a little box. Inside there's a cupcake, there's a book of matches, there's a candle, there's a little thing that you blow in and it makes noise, a noisemaker, and instructions that's called the do-it-yourself birthday celebration. And it literally tells them step by step what to do. And it goes to their office. Now, it costs me, I don't know what it costs, not very much to do those, but people love them. And then they share that with other people. They're like, wow, outside of picking out something very personal for them, and that's if I know them, like what sports teams they like or something like that, just the action of doing it over and over again. So do you do that for every single person in your database? People that have bought and sold you homes, sending them birthday gifts? I love it because we'll call them, like sometimes I hear this more than anything. Well, do you call your database? Well, I usually call them after I saw that they listed with somebody else. You guys ever do that? That's fantastic, right? You're like, hey, they're like, oh, look at you, fair-weathered friend. And we all make that mistake where we reach out and it's a little too late. But if we're in really great relationship, we're in high touch in any way that we possibly can, then they're going to call us first. Hey, I'm thinking about selling my home. I'm thinking about buying a new home. I'm thinking about upgrading. But you have to be top of mind for us to be able to do that. Knowing their birthdays, their anniversaries, where they're going to work is going to be, why do I want to do it at their work? I like all their stuff at their work, so then when they get it, then they're like, oh my gosh, how cool is that? Where did that come from? Oh, my realtor. My realtor doesn't do that. Of course not. Most realtors just cash the check and run off into the sunset and go to Hawaii the next day. Like, that is the misconception. You guys realize that. We're all in this together. It's the misconception, and it's our fault why it's like that as a whole, because we haven't had really great systems to show them that we really do love and care about them past the close for years and years and years and years and years. And those of us that do, it's because we learned that we sucked past the close for years and years and years and years and years, and we needed to make a change or do something better, or someone taught us, mentored us, and we're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I should do that. Kind of like trying to fix all my wife's problems. I didn't know until my coach was like, you're an idiot. You realize that she just wants you to listen. I was like, really? She doesn't want me to solve it. So sometimes we have to hear from folks like us to do it. If you only have 75 to 100 in your database, you need to get busy in filling it up. Well, where do I go for that? The database is your moneymaker. If you're not working your database, you're leaving money on the table. And as far as what do we do with these folks, if you add 5 to 7 names or per week, you can have 300 names by the end of the year. If you're prospecting for, like, everyone should own a home. Does everyone agree with that? Like 75% of people's wealth is in real estate. It's not even in stocks. So is it easier to save 20% over 20 years, no matter what, than it is to buy a condo and then live in it for 20 years and save up the same amount? Which is easier to do, considering you need a roof over your head anyways? Buying real estate. So we need to be the ones that are educating them on a constant basis. So everybody qualifies as a potential client or knowing someone that's a potential client. So the problem here's the way I look at it. I don't ever say whether or not you will qualify for a loan. It's a matter of if or when you're going to qualify for a loan. I bought my first condo at 19. I literally borrowed the money for the down payment, 3% down payment for 24 hours at like 14% interest from my mom, no less. Thank you, Mom. And I had to pay it back, and there was like 3 points attached to it. I swear my mom, she was a stay-at-home mom most of her life, but I swear she was a hard money lender in her back life. Yeah, I didn't need many. I think she even charged me for a chair that I broke when I was 16 that she really liked. It was an antique. And she's like, hey, I'm going to charge $900 for that chair. Now, it worked out. I think I bought the condo for $315. No, I bought it for $146 and sold it for $365. So, well worth it. Thanks. I still thank my mom, God rest her soul, to this day. But it always is a reminder for me every time I think about it. So does everyone qualify? If a crazy punk kid like me, and trust me, when I was 19, I was a total punk kid, could actually get the American dream, move into a condo, then the condo to a single family, then and then so on and so forth, then couldn't anybody do it? And that was my thing. I was like, everyone should do this. I don't understand. And then I started doing more and more loans, and apparently everyone thought that everyone should do it too, because everyone who could fog a mirror got a loan. Now that didn't work out so well. But nowadays we can counsel them within the guidelines we have to get them to buy a home. Maybe later, maybe not. But everyone can do it. So you need to make sure you're adding 5 to 7 names per week. If you make that your goal, that's one person per day. One person per day that you're adding to a database that you're talking about. Like if you go, hey, I'm a realtor, and they don't do this, then add them to the database and put them in there and follow up with them, especially if they're open to it. So principals, referral partners, people who know and like you. If you want to be successful in real estate, it's a relationship business. So if you have 2,500 people in your database, it's too many to stay in front of. I will tell you. And we keep that many out of a fear. It's a fear-based mentality. You can have a faith-based mentality or fear-based. Fear never works. Faith always does. Usually you have to go through the faith through the fear to get to the faith. But you're holding on to everything because you're so concerned that what if one person drops? Meanwhile, you're not able to take care of all those folks, so you end up dropping more people anyways. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Unless it's your farm. If they're in your farm, separate them. Great, I've got a farm. They've got 3,000 people on my farm. Fantastic. Those go over here. That's different. We want to focus on the referrals. Now, a lot of folks that I know, realtors, and these are ones that do over 50 million a year consistently. They're doing hundreds of transactions consistently. These are people that are 100% referral based. They don't have farms. They just work their database really, really good consistently over and over again because they already know, like, and trust them. So when they refer them, it's a high touch, a high converting lead. So for us, I know, and we look at these super carefully, I know that when a lead comes to us, we literally close 28% of them. Close. That is a funded. That takes into account people that don't qualify, people that go, I'm working with my Uncle Joe, all of those people into account. I know that we're going to app 45% of them we're going to collect an application on. So why would I want to work on something that has a 2% lesser conversion or less? Now, if I do, it's going to be a much smaller piece of my time than it is the larger group of people that convert at 48%. So if I give you guys box number 1 converts at 45% or 28%, let's say lead to fund, box number 2 is 1%. Which one would you like? So why do we pick the wrong box so often? Because being busy makes us feel like that's secure, like we're filling that time, but it's not the right time that we're filling. And we need to make sure, especially if you're going into tougher markets, you need the higher converting lead. You don't need the lower converting lead. Now, if you want to get the lower converting leads and build it so that you have relationships, then you wean yourself off the leads, which is what I did. For 15 years, I was the top lending tree rep in the country, and I was getting all these leads until the market adjusted. And then I realized that I made enough relationships built up so that I can turn my leads off, and I never turn them on again. Because if I got them at 28%, why would I want to go back to that? I mean, but a lot of people don't know that because they haven't seen it or felt it, or you hear it from folks like me out there, but you need to see it for yourself. And once you see it, you're like, oh my gosh, that was crazy. Yeah, Ariel.
I farm and like never get business.
So,
I think I farm way too much.
And farming from a door knocking, mailers?
Not door knocking, but just farming.
So,
Just whatever.
Same farm every single time?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, not always. Like if I have a new listing outside of my farm, then I'll farm that area, but I'll always go back to my original farm as well.
So,
I hardly ever get business.
does it have an ROI?
Probably.
Probably is the wrong answer. So here's the most important thing. If it has an ROI and you have to factor in your time to that ROI, meaning how much time do you put into it plus marketing costs, is it profitable? Well, we're in a business to be profitable, but that's the biggest question. If it's not profitable or you're breaking even, are we in the business to break even? Anybody? Cool, good.
I feel like that's like my 1% conversion.
It is. It is. Mailers are. Yeah, mailers are. I mean, listen, I could tell you that if you go out and you make relationships with 10 to 15 CPAs, probate attorneys, divorce attorneys that trust you enough to give you opportunities, that you'll close at a super high rate because they just do exactly what they tell them to do, just like your clients typically do when they're directed to us. It makes way more sense. And I have she's not here, one of my referral partners and good buddies, he did this. He did a happy hour. Everyone knows we do mix, mingle, market updates. Well, he did one with a room full of attorney and walked out with 3 listings. So is he listening and applying? Yes. Right? And it makes more sense. And he scrapped all his mailers because we had that, and he's like, I'm trading all my mailers in for Starbucks cards. And I'm just going to buy coffee and lunch and breakfast. That's all he did. And he did that for 2 years until now he's just consistently getting referrals from people who have leads. Because we're a referral-based business at the end of the day. If you really look at all of your past clients and a lot of your clients, you'll find that most of them come from referrals. And when you hit the farm's really great, but you'll find that most of them are coming because they were referred by your client who happens to be in the farm. Those are the best ones. Not like I just saw it on the mailer, which proof is after they see it enough and over and over and over and over and over again, then it does build a relationship and a trust factor. But you have to think of how many times that takes because they're just throwing them in the garbage, not looking at them as well. So it just takes a long time. So yeah, they'll always convert at less than 2%. As well as the internet leads as well. So business database, call to action, we need your help, we need referrals. Asking for the business is okay. If you make a bunch of phone calls and you forget to ask for the business, then it's not their job to remember to give it to you. They know what you do, but you have to ask, hey, is there anyone that you know looking to buy or sell real estate at all? And now as we're going into the 4th quarter, folks, it is the best time to get their wheel spinning. Number 1, real estate's on sale, right? Real estate's on sale. And I sent a video out that talked about this. No one wants to cut the Thanksgiving turkey on a cardboard box. And if you are, that means you're willing to negotiate. That's what it means. So that's super important for folks to know. And they're all families get together. We all spend more time with family and friends at all these parties and at our house than we do at any other time of the year. And that's when they start getting together. Well, we're thinking about buying a house. Well, you should really talk to my realtor. Well, no, you got to talk to JJ first, see if you qualify. Those are the conversations that happen organically when you're constantly in front of them. And it can't just be once in November and once in December. It literally should be weekly, constant communication. And if you're like, well, what do I talk about? Well, there's 8 more weeks, call it, left in November and December. Can you come up with 8 different things to talk about? I hope. Then come up with the 8 things, write them down, and go, okay, today I'm talking about jelly beans. And talk about jelly beans. And then tomorrow I'm going to talk about the market adjustments. And the next week, and just call, hey, I want to start talking, building rapport, truly be genuine, find out what's going on in their lives, but then have a subject to talk about, something of value that you're adding to them. If you're talking to them on a weekly basis for the next 2 months during the holidays, and you're having a fantastic conversation, and you're asking for the business, and you're educating them, will they not keep you top of mind when they have those conversations? And then if you drop off a little Christmas gift or send a little box or something inexpensive, right? They're going to remember you. But if you're only doing it once or not at all for those folks, then mark my words, somebody who is doing all of those will take that client from you. And isn't it fair?
When making phone calls, what's your thought on, when you have a topic to talk about that week, what's your thought on, do you leave the message about what you're talking about, or do you just hang up?
No, always leave a message. So I really always prided myself, especially cold calling, like internet leads, like leaving messages to get people to call me back. Like if you say, hey, it's JJ from a mortgage company, call me back. Here's my number, click. Doesn't want to get them to call back. But if I go, hey, it's JJ, I have your child. You should probably call me back, click. Which one's going to call me back? Now, I use it as an extreme example, but making sure that you leave a message. Hey, it's JJ. I had something so exciting happen in real estate that I think is going to be a game changer going into 2020. I really wanted to run it by you because you were top of mind. Would you mind giving me a call when you have a chance? Also, I wanted to invite you to something. Call me back. They'll call me back. Right? So you have to give them like, well, what do you want to talk about? It's like leaving that open-ended question, right? That everyone wants to know what the answer is to it. So being creative, leaving the message for sure. And if they don't call you back, which is fine. I don't take offense to not call me back. People are busy. But if you do it on a weekly basis, you know what'll happen? and this happened today. I left, I don't know, like 5 messages or something like that over a period of a month and a half. Oh man, JJ, I'm so glad. I am so sorry. I apologize. I've been getting your messages. Can we meet on Monday? I'll buy you lunch. I got an apology, free lunch out of it, and the appointment because I was consistent and I was genuine about it. And I'm like, don't apologize. Don't worry about it. It's part of the thing. It's what we do. And especially if there are other salespeople, like I'm a laydown. Like they're like, hey, this car is going to cost you twice as much as that car. I'm going to take it. You know what? I know how hard you have to work as a salesperson, right? Salespeople are laydowns. Anybody else a laydown in the sales environment? Like I pride myself in being a great salesperson, but I'm not really a great salesperson. I'm just a relationship person, and I lay down for it. So if you're running into those sales people, when they see how hard you're working, other salespeople know how hard that is. Other people know how unrewarding it can be, and it's a numbers game, and they know they're part of the solution for you. Cool, your top 25. So the top 25 list is an evolving list. It's okay that it's an evolving list. These are people that know you, like you, trust you. These are people that refer you the most, have you used you the most, or they're people that have the most potential to do so. And they may stay on that list, or like, how much time is too much time to keep trying to get in relationship with someone? Well, enough time so that they file a restraining order. Like, I'm trying to feed my family. Nothing's going to stop me from doing that. But in all seriousness, you'll know when the time is right. You can't just give up. So fact is 90% of all sales are made after the 10th contact, 9th to 13th contact. So isn't it easy enough to say you give at least 13 contact attempts before you give up, just from a numbers game? Like, I remember Simple-Minded, right? So for me, as a kid, they tell you this stuff. I'm like, so if I just call 13 times, I have a 90% chance I'll get that deal? He's like, it's that simple, son. I'm like, perfect. I'll go with that. He's like, well, don't you want to know how to price a loan? I'll bring it to you when it's time to price a loan. Literally, I had no idea how to come up with an interest rate for the first 6 years of my career. Why? It didn't matter. I went to him. He told me what the rate was. I go back, and that's what I quoted, right? What mattered is that I was making the call. Massive amounts of communication got massive results in action from doing so. So you have to narrow it down to the top 25 people that can refer you. They use you multiple times. And you need to make sure that you're going to call 8 of them every single Monday, that you're going to, by the end of the month, all of them have heard from you, that your top 25 are influential people that probably was someone over the weekend that can refer you. Like, that's what it, like, over the weekend. The reason I'll call so many of you folks on a Monday is, one, it's the most impactful time. Like, we make excuses as the week goes on. I'm busy, I'm so busy. But if I do it every single Monday, and I'm calling that list every single Monday, and then a lot of you are out at open houses over the weekend, wouldn't that be the most, oh, JJ, I'm glad you called. I actually had an open house this weekend. No kidding. And I ran into a buyer. No way. Like, that's the reason. So making sure you guys are doing the same thing. The people that you're talking to are still hanging out with folks over the weekend, talking about real estate, having beers, sitting in the backyard. The neighbors are going, oh my gosh, we're going to be changing. We're going to be relocating. Having a happy hour at the same place, same time, every single month. I just told you what it yielded for my buddy. And then a special birthday program. So you got him on a birthday program. You can automate the birthday program. I get a cheesecake every single Christmas from my financial advisor. For my birthday, it's a cheesecake. And I get a bottle of Veuve champagne every single New Year's. Every year, automatically. And then one year, he sent it to the wrong house, and he was so pissed off. He got so upset at his team for doing that. I'm like, man, it's not that big of a deal. I just want to let you know you're sending it to the wrong place. But he took a lot of pride in that. And so he has me on that birthday program. He has me. And you know what I look forward to every single year, no matter what, is that bottle of champagne and the cheesecake. And then all of my kids are always looking forward to it as soon as it comes in. Right? And so I remember that. Yeah, buddy.
You have us calling the top 25 on Monday after they've been with people over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't we want to be in their head over the weekend and call them on Friday?
you're going to be in their head from over the weekend. So on Friday, hopefully you're going to be in front of them. So the whole point is you're in front of them Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays is when you're face to face. Mondays are going to be your follow-up calls. But no, not being in their head on Friday. It's the follow-up after the Monday. Because what happens is if you call them on Friday, they're over the weekend, they have those conversations, and then they're going to forget about it. Monday happens, they're at work. Tuesday happens, Wednesday happens, Thursday happens, and work's gone. Like the week will get away from them. The week always gets away from us. That's a good call, though. But two, it depends on the list you're calling. You're either in front of them over the weekend, or you let them have their conversations with family and follow up to see how their weekend was. Plus, it's a very organic conversation. Like, what'd you do this weekend? Like, I really kind of care what people do on the weekend. It's fun. Oh, what are you doing? What'd you do? Oh my gosh, I did that too. Right? I had one of my clients, we were talking about the weekend, and it was, she's moving to Temecula, and we're doing one of those farm to table events. Have you guys ever done those? Like a bunch of people sit at a long table and eat in the middle of a vineyard or something. It sounds really cool. It's for my sister-in-law's birthday. So how cool, like how easy is that of a conversation to have? And so the weekend provides us a reset button every single week to do it. But if you're in the middle of the week, you're like, hey, so how's your week been? Well, it's Wednesday, so it sucks. And I'm looking forward to the weekend, and I'm busy. But thanks for calling, right? It's just a different mindset. Now you start, Fridays are good days, but on Fridays I call my VIPs. So my VIPs are going to be on Fridays as well. So my top referring Mondays, my VIPs, those are very important people that fall on the list that I reach out on every Friday because I want them thinking about me over the weekend. Every day there's someone to call. So if you follow the leads top 25, you got 2 referral deals per person per year. That's 50 transactions. Do you see why we have a top 25? Like I literally just solved all of your farming problems. 25 people, 2 referrals per year from the 25 people, 6,000 times 300,000, which is hilarious because that's not our market. So you guys all get to make 12,000 and 600,000 on the price point. The rest of the country hates us. You realize that because they got to work twice as hard for the same amount of money. Like I have my realtor buddies in other states. I mean, they have to close 100 transactions per year. Yeah, their expenses are less to a certain extent, right? To a certain extent. Like if you live in Menifee, guess what? You still pay our crap taxes at 13.5%, and your average price point is still $350. So they still have to sell, like it's the reasons or results. Right? It's the mindset is what I think. Like my friends that do that in the other states are netting, I don't know, $1 million a year. Like I think for us, we just get fat and happy at 250 and we're like, well, my gosh, I'm good. I'm done. And that's the complacency, and complacency is the death of business. Everyone agrees. Yeah. Complacency is the killer. So let's see. Eat one bite of the elephant at a time. The cost for the reward is minimal. If someone in your top 25 did not have a good experience, they most likely won't refer you. Take them off the list. But it's also a good opportunity for redemption. And I tell them, I apologize. How did I let you down? That is a really disarming question because it means I actually care. I don't say, what'd we do? How did I let you down? Because I obviously let you down. What way did I let you down? Tell me. Like I had an employee literally give her notice today because of the whole issue we were speaking about. She was talked down to by another salesperson, but she's like, this has been happening over and over again. Well, I'm like, I didn't know that. Now that I know that, I can do something about it. And I took massive action, and it looks like now she knows I have her back and she's going to stay. And, I think she was worried like I'm putting sales in front of ops. Like all of this miscommunication happens because people don't speak up. So asking them, then it comes up. And believe it or not, those are some of my most loyal clients have been some of the people that I was in conflict with. Because when you can conflict resolve with someone, it's like a special place. Now, a lot when you're a boy, you conflict resolve really well. Your best friend ends up being the guy you got in a fight with. You punch each other in the face. Oh man, we're good. And then you're best friends for the rest of your life. Right? You're fighting over a girl, punch each other in the face. The girls are gone. The guys are best friends for the next 20 years. Right? Conflict resolve is a very special place. So making sure that we're doing that with our clients, I'm telling you, is really cool. It's an intimate thing. Resolving conflict. Avoiding conflict, that's what everybody does. Everyone wants to avoid conflict. Cool. All right. Take them out to lunch. Invite them to dinner. give them a magazine subscription, round of 2 golf, personally deliver a gift. So I'll talk about some of the systems that I do. I do breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and I preset them. So if you get them on the phone, you can't talk to them every week. You try and set something up so that, like if you have people that don't really want to hang out with you all the time, that's okay. And then you have the people that do. And the people that do, I'll have on a more reoccurring. And the people that don't, if I can get with them once or twice a year and hang out and do something super cool with them, then that for me is good. That's a win, right? Because we're both busy, crazy business people. And like, I get that. But then some people want to be in a lot of relationships. So it's got to be constant over and over again. So you have to kind of put them in 2 different buckets. Magazine subscriptions are really cool because you can send it to them. I got a lot of, when I teach this, my wife was like, why do we have so many magazine subscriptions? I've got like 15 or 20. I've never ordered a magazine subscription for myself. But you have to make sure the key to it is on the subscription, it has your name on it. So then every time it comes, I'm thinking of that person. And it's something that they like. So if I'm getting a car magazine or something like that, and I'm really into cars, then I'm going to be thinking about, man, I love this car magazine. Every time I'm always thinking of Ariel. Every time I get this, what a great guy. He really pays attention. And isn't that on a constant basis a better return on your investment at, I don't know, it's $15 a year than a mailer? People are going to throw out mailers, but they're not going to throw out a car magazine if they're into cars, or a golf magazine if they're into golf, or a cigar magazine if they're into cigars, and so on. So making sure that you do that. Round of golf or 2, like we'll do events on my boat, and it's fantastic because I have a captured audience. And everyone gets on stressed out, everyone gets off relaxed. It's like the best tool on the planet. And guess what I want to do? I want to go anyways. So it's like a win-win-win-win-win. Like thank you so much. Hopefully we didn't take up too much. This is literally what I'd be doing with or without you. So let's all hang out, relax, have a good time, and you can get off, but you're going to have to swim back to the harbor to do that. So no one swam so far. So it's a great way to do those type of things. Golf course is a really great place too for a lot of you guys because you got to walk too far to go back, or you have to steal the cart. You let them sit there, and it's super rude. So hopefully you like the person you're going golfing with because you're stuck with them for the next foreseeable 3 to 4 hours. But making sure you're doing something with them. That's where the magic happens, is rapport. Like if you're at a listing presentation, shouldn't you be building rapport with them for 45 minutes and presenting for 15? Like, have you ever lost to somebody that just sucks? Like, they suck. Like, you're like, man, that person's really not great at their job, but they are better at building relationships than you. So they don't suck at all. They were a genius. They spent the time where it mattered most. And that's being in a relationship, listening attentively, not talking about yourself the whole time. Like all of those little gifts that go a long way, more than whether or not they're a great real estate agent. Cool? All right. Business and marketing plan of 2019. List of 10 should haves and list of 10 shouldn't haves. So does anyone want to guess how much I spent on Zillow this year as a lender? No, I can thank a lot of you guys for that. Let's talk. Let's see. Now, what do you think I'll spend going into next year? 0. But I'll tell you, I invested over $78,000 in Zillow. 78 grand. Who is a master in Zillow? Me. Now, I will tell you what I've learned is that they convert at less than 2%. If you're willing to spend 10 grand a month and you have an inside sales agent team that manages and is pounding those phones on a consistent basis, you can make money, 100%. But if you don't have a team, you don't know how to manage a team, and you can't afford it, then you can just thank yourselves as well as myself for helping Zillow build their real estate and mortgage company. And now they're teaming up with Amazon. Does that scare you? It should. So what is a better way for capital infusion than having all of your competitors do it for you? So I had spoke about this 4 or 5 years ago. Now keep in mind, it's on a larger scale on why I added it up to that. But now when I was doing my marketing review, and at this stage of the game, we had already whittled it down. But when I added it all up, shame on me. Because I knew better than to let other people do that too. But I get it. You get addicted to the crack. You're like, man, I got some leads. I closed the one deal. Well, why'd you close the deal? Well, it was a good lead. No, you were in good relationship with that person. You got there fast. You got in a relationship. Like that's what happened. And there's still just as many random chances of that happening at a gas station, at a grocery store, at a chamber event, like putting yourselves into the place. Your CPAs, your divorce attorneys, there are so many places where you don't have to do that. Literally, I don't know how, I think we ended up taking a loss of about $6,000 under that 70. I think the ROI on that we brought in, because for us, it doesn't convert as high, and our margins are half that of a realtor. So the margins are skinny. They don't want to talk to us. It's like, when do you go to a car dealership and walk to the back and go, I'd like to talk to the finance guy, and then test drive a car? Said no one ever. Right? They want to test drive the car, get the car. They're like, oh my gosh, this is great. How much is this Bentley? I hope I can get it on a teacher's salary, right? And then they're like, they make it happen because they get emotionally attached to it. That's where it is, right? I'm so passionate about this over and over. If you're going to do it, you make sure it has an ROI. If it doesn't have an ROI, it's a return on your investment, you do not do it. I didn't start out, becoming a business person takes time. I don't have an MBA. I have years of screwing up and throwing away money and learning that was a bad idea, and lots of coaches and mentors. My mentor is a high school dropout. High school dropout, went to jail, realized he was wrong, had a mentor worth $100 million. That's who I like to follow. High school dropout, become $100 million. And he's super crazy. He's the craziest guy you ever seen. You're like, I can't believe you follow this guy. But I do, because I can relate to that. So all of you guys need to get in some sort of coaching, have someone who's going to guide and mentor you because they have that place of experience, and learn a lot of these tactics. And I'll teach as many as I can to you, but the ROI, you have to sit down and run it through a calculator. And then I have relationships where I'm like, man, I've spent $14,000 in this relationship doing X, Y, Z. And I'm like, and I don't even really love this relationship. And then I looked and it yielded me 78 grand. I'm like, I love this relationship. This is fantastic. He's like, hey, we need to double down over here. You got it, no problem, right? You don't know what you don't know. And that's what my biggest fear is, because then you start making adjustments and tweaking things that you're doing just off of feeling. And no one ever did anything off of feeling that was worthwhile other than love. Fair enough? We'll take love off the table. The rest of the feelings don't work out well in business. And even love in business is a very, very fine line. It doesn't usually work out really, 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 really well. It did for me and my wife, but then, she, had a baby and then she had to retire for a while. So it was really, really good for a bit. But even then, it's tough. So ROI, list of 10 should haves and 10 shouldn't haves. Shouldn't haves are energy vampires. Energy vampires, people that are sucking the life out of you. You know those people that have been in your car looking at 400 homes for 2 years? Cut them. Stop it. That's insanity. Well, what if they buy a home from someone else and I invested all this time? I'm pretty sure you could have sold a home to 100 other people with the time that you spent with those folks. Fair enough? 4 reasons to buy. Inventory is up. Rates are still at historic lows. There's less competition. Sellers are more flexible on terms and price. Is this facts? Cool. So there's no reason not to buy real estate. If you can communicate these 4 things, there's 4 of the 8 that I just gave you. We'll talk about inventory up. We'll talk about rates, historic lows. We'll talk about less competition. Like, there's 4 topics right there. And you just have those conversations. So there's the month of November. And making sure that you're getting in relationship. You should have some sort of dinner, Christmas party at your house. Or do it at a park if you don't want them at your house. But you should be doing something to be in relationship. Thank all the people that sent you business this year. If you do not have a party for all the people that referred you this year, it's selfish. And if you're trying to not spend money, then it's stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. So we did a pumpkin patch, and this is the first time we've done this. I was like, let's do a pumpkin patch thing. And it was at Zumar, so it was perfect. Like they got to come in for free. We gave them all free pumpkins. They signed up, their kids, and they can do pet animals and do all the. So it looks like we set this big old pumpkin thing up, but we didn't set up anything except the table. I think it cost us $900 for all the pumpkins, the space, and everything. And then we did a raffle for a $150 or $200 prize that we gave away. And I got 15 referrals. 15 referrals from past clients. We had 80 people or so show up. I got 15 referrals out of it. If I just convert like the smallest, but I know I'm going to convert at 28%, then the ROI on that event is over 20 grand in revenue. Right? You got bills to pay, but I have people's, families to feed. So if I could pay the bills, I'm cool with that. So do you see the missed opportunities? And sometimes we're like, it's inconvenient. It's mostly fear mindset. You got to get rid of the fear going into the fourth quarter. It's got to go. You just got to pick up the phone, massive action, and make a ton of phone calls, more than ever. The program. Let's talk about the program. You introduce yourself. You ask about their home. You offer a CMA, you ask for a favor and ask them to send you one referral before the year. So this is a role playing that we do quite a bit. So if I'm calling one of my past clients, this is one of those clients you're like, oh yeah, I've taken you for granted. I haven't called you in 4 years and I have a lot of anxiety about calling you out of the blue. Anyone ever do that? Okay, cool. This is the script for that. Hey, it's JJ. I was your mortgage banker. I just wanted to see, how's the house treating you? Hey, JJ. Oh, it's great. I haven't heard from you in 4 years. I'm surprised you're alive. How was that commission check? Oh, it was fantastic. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I apologize that I haven't done a great job staying in touch with you. And going into 2020, it's really important to me that I show my gratitude more than I have to date. So what have you done to the house? Have you made any improvements to it? 9 times out of 10. No, not really, but we put in new piping, right? It's like Mission Viejo area. It's like, yeah, oh, no way. I hear that a lot. And we put in our kitchen and everything else. You're like, oh man, that sounds fantastic. Well, hey, I just wanted to make sure, I know it was some time ago, but I wanted to follow up. I want to just be better. Like I said, I'm trying to stay in better relationship. Did we do a good job for you? Yeah, JJ, from what I remember, you guys did a great job. It's not sticking out. We still have a great rate. You closed. We got our keys on time. All right. Well, that's awesome. Can you do me a favor? It would really mean a lot. Sure, no problem. I just need one referral before the end of the year because I need to find out if someone's going to buy or need to buy or sell, refinance, or buy or sell a home. Can you refer me one person needs to buy or sell a home before the end of the year? Because rates are low, inventory, sellers are flexible. It's a really great time to buy. In fact, if you haven't thought about an investment property or a second home, it might be good for you too. So I got 2 asks. I got back in relationship. I asked for a referral from them. I did the temperature check. If they're like, no, JJ, you sucked. If you remember, you didn't close for 4 weeks after and you gave us a 10% rate. Well, I apologize. Apparently, I let you down, right? So there's 2 things that I'm doing there. I want to do a temperature check, especially if you haven't called them in a while. But I also apologized. Everyone heard the apology? What does a human being love more than anything? Humility. Humility. What pisses people off? The lack of, the opposite, the arrogant, the crazy. Like no one really loves that. It's not a big thing. Yeah, dear. You want to know my solve for that? This is what I do to my students. You'll have to talk to your boss to see if it's okay. But if people are really, really wanting, you need a consequence. So the consequence for me, like I know if they turn in their greatness tracker, and let's say they call 60 people and have 60 conversations, they show me those conversations. Then I make them circle every time they ask for the business. So my fine to them is 100 times or $100 for every time that they don't circle that name and ask for the business. And if you circle it and you didn't do it, and you're just lying, then that's a character flaw, and you have way deeper problems, and I can actually send you over to a great therapist to help me with mine, right? So I throw that out there because people, they don't want to tell the truth, and then that doesn't do anywhere in growth. You have to have a consequence behind it. You can have like a contest where like whoever asks for the most amount of business wins a prize, but nothing is more impactful than a consequence. Like a lot of consequences we'll do is, all right, cool. What do you not like doing at home? I hate doing the dishes. All right, cool. So if you don't ask for the business at least 100 times, you have to do the dishes all week for your entire family. Tie it to something and something you can try. X. Right. Yeah, it's like a bounty, if you will, rewards. But I find that really the consequence is if you can agree them, if you have someone that says, hey, I need help, I want to ask for the business more. You go, okay, cool, you all in, you really want help, you really want accountability, and they agree to it, cool. Do I have your permission to hold you accountable? No matter what it is that I ask you to do, so long as it's legal, yes, cool. Here's what we're going to do. And you have them list it, circle it every time they ask for the business. You set some boundaries, and if they don't do it, there's a consequence, and if they do it, then there's a reward. You can do a duel. But these guys, I mean, I find people $1,200, and they're like, $1,200? I'm like, no, you probably lost somewhere in the group of 10, 15,000, but the $1,200 goes to charity. So anytime I find it automatically goes to charity, so it goes to a good cause, and at the core we match it, so it's double. But the accountability is what you pay for in coaching. It's not these great ideas you've all heard before, right? It's the accountability factor that matters. So you have to just get their buy-in if they really want to ask for the business, and you need to track it. So I've handed you guys the greatness trackers. That's what I still use to my day. You go into my office, it's on my desk every single day, and it shows me exactly who I called, and then if I asked for the business. It's the easiest way to increase your business is asking for it. You guys know that? And if you're afraid to ask for the business, like you have 100% chance of not closing a deal if you don't ask. It's 50-50. It immediately goes up 50% by asking. I'm a numbers guy. I'm like, are you kidding? So if I just ask, I have a 50% chance of getting the deal? Yes. And if I ask 10 times and it goes to 90? Yes. Okay. I was 19. I didn't know jack about the mortgage business. I just knew that if I did that, and you know what's changed after 25 years? Nothing. Not a damn thing. It's the same thing, but it's getting out of the routine doing it. So I hope, if anything, out of here for the fourth quarter, you make massive amounts of phone calls, you make sure that you've organized your database and you're in front of them, and you're asking for the business. You don't have to be like, I need a referral. Can you give me one? Like, you guys don't have to say it like that. Like, hey, do you know anyone looking to buy or sell real estate right now? I'm really looking up to finish the fourth quarter. It's how I feed my family off referrals, and I'd be so grateful if you sent one over to me. I know you can do it. Would you mind keeping it top of mind when you're at church and work this week? I know you're busy, but could you do that for me? Wouldn't you feel guilty if you didn't give me one? Right? Like, that guy was really nice about it. You know what? I'm going to keep that top of mind. That's what usually happens. I think they're afraid because of how you're, rejection. It's the fear of rejection, right? You're in a business of rejection. Get out of the business immediately if you don't like rejection. Any top producer, you tell them, get used to it. It is what we do. If you're a closer and you're closing 20% or higher, 80% of the people think you suck and don't use you. It is not good on the ego. Why do people have so many egos? They're so insecure from 80% of the people telling them no. You're all in the same boat. There's nothing to be afraid of. All of you have equal chances and are going to get told no way more than yes. Right? Yeah, Tina. Yeah. And try and put a timeline on it. Go, listen, I need a favor. Do you think you can send me one person before January 1st? Can you make that your first New Year's goal for me? I'd be super grateful if you did. It means the world to me. And be super genuine about how, like, with gratitude. Like, dude, means the world to me. And then don't forget, inventory's up, rates to historic lows, less competition, sellers more flexible in price. But here's the deal. All of that being said, if you don't ask for the business, if you don't build the rapport, if they don't like you and they don't trust you, then all of this stuff doesn't matter. Like I said, rates could be at 2.5%, like we're going through right now. And after the summer, like rates dropped really, really low. They've trickled up, right? But rates are arguably I had rates in the low threes. Some rates still are, but like for the most part, there was a huge flux of refinances. And I still had loan officers that couldn't close more than a deal or two a month. You're either saying the wrong thing, talking to the wrong people, or you're not doing the work. And so these people clearly just weren't doing the work. Because, unless you were just calling people randomly and telling them to go screw themselves, and these people would probably have someone that needed to buy, sell, or refinance rates under 3.5%. And you have the database of people, these are all past clients, you knew had rates at 4.5%, you really weren't picking up the phone and calling them. So when you're going into the fourth quarter knowing that the only reason you're not hitting the goals you want is because of talking to the right people, saying the wrong thing, or doing the work. I just helped you guys formulate. Get the database organized. Say the right thing and ask for the business. And do the work making the phone calls. And if you do that consistently, then your results will be consistent. Fair enough? Cool. Yeah. What's my favorite? I use all of them. I am not a technology guy. I'm a Simon Says guy. 4 colors and 4 sounds. That's about it. So they all freak me out a little bit, but Salesforce is what I use because it can be built to exactly how you want it. So I've been able to take my Salesforce and build it to 4 sounds and 4 colors. And then it does all this fancy stuff that I don't know, but I know if I can press a button, the report comes up. Top Producer is another really great one that I know a lot of folks use. Boomtown's another one. As long as you have one. What's that? Yep, that's a good one. There you go. Free ones. You guys, that's free. So if you guys don't have one or girls don't have one, there's free ones that OCAR is offering for you. I would just start using it. That's the best thing. I think making the action of inputting every contact and then organizing the contacts and then every single time you have communication, putting it in there. Like there's nothing worse. And then setting notifications. There's nothing worse than someone says, well, call me back in September 5th of next year. My lease is up. You've talked to another couple hundred people. Are you going to remember that person's lease is up in September of next year unless you have reminders? And then you're going to call them with a bunch of properties and it said you could have typed in condos and you show them a bunch of waterfront property. That doesn't make sense either. So making sure that for me, the action of putting in all the notes is the most important thing too. So is everyone able to take at least 1 or 2 things to help them make more money? Please show your hands. I love it. Now, can you guys do me a favor? All right. So I need at least 1 person that needs to buy, sell, or refinance. And I promise I will take great care of them. I also need your feedback on that form. So the survey there is a great way to give me any feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. I do not mind constructive criticism. I'm in coaching. I get yelled at weekly. So put that on there. But also at the bottom, anyone you think that can learn from these classes, grow from these classes, or of course, anyone that's looking to buy, sell, or refinance, if you would pretty please put that on there. That is a massive example of asking for the business, leveraging time, and leveraging people. So should you guys not emulate what I'm doing? Yes. Should you not be holding seminars like this, educating people on what it is that you know to help them buy and sell real estate? Wealth workshops, rental workshops, Airbnb workshops, cash flow workshops, right? Reverse mortgage workshops, retiring workshops. I may go on and on. If you did this, and yes, you have the fear that no one's going to show up, and don't worry, sometimes that will happen. It just didn't happen like this for me. I remember my first one, it was just me and my team, and the only ones who showed up were my team. And it was a happy hour, and everyone just got drunk. It was a big drunken fest of team members because we were all so depressed that no one showed up, okay? Now, we never did that again, thank goodness. That's where it ended up going, but it happens. Every single time, my boss has been a famous public speaker for 20, 25 years, and every single time he has an event, we sell out the event, we have a waiting list, and he's pacing until that room's actually got all the people in it, and he flips a coin, and he paces, because if you ask him, why are you nervous? He's like, afraid that no one's going to show up. So don't worry about it. It's just fear. Fear doesn't do anything good. Yeah, Gaetano? So we'll have, how many people do, let's have lunch and learn. Like, I would say invite as many people as you can, and then you can put a cap on it. So that's what I would recommend. Invite 100, 200 people, and then you go, hey, this list will fill up quickly. So we invite a bunch of people on the boat, but I can only fit 25 people on the boat. So once it caps, and then it's done. So don't worry about how many, just as many as you can. And what happens is you do it regularly is that not everyone comes every single time, but it gives me an opportunity throughout the year to see different people at different times all the time and be able to hang out with them. And that's a very social, that's a social environment. So 200, 300, 400, whatever, your entire farm. You know, if you have a farm, you're like, hey, we're doing a farm happy hour, but limited time, limited supply now, right? Do you ever think of all the marketing tips that people do, like to sell you boxes of cereal? Same thing. You know, the fact there's limited room will make people want to go more. It's like, like if a girl's available when I was a kid, like you never wanted to date them. And as soon as she had a boyfriend, you're like, she looks really, really cool. I really want to date her. Human beings are funny like that. You have to play psychology, to get people to go. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you coming very, very much. And then next month is we're doing Vision Traction Organizer. So it's a system that I use. It's a 2-page business plan. This is how I run my business. We talk about vision and we talk about traction, which is where am I going? How am I going to get there? So if you know that you won't do a business plan when we get into the holidays, then that's going to be a great one to go to. Or if you want to see if there's things that you can do to adjust your business plan, then that'll be a good one too. So same time, same place, and then we'll send out an invite for y'all. Cool? Awesome. Thank you.